Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, RPA and Survival, where I talk about wilderness survival, urban survival, preparedness, SHTF, all that good stuff, man. Well, something new today. Probably noticed my apparel here. Knight Transportation, my new employer. I want to go over just what a great experience that I had. It's going to be a two-part series, so I hope you enjoy it. I hope you learn. And if you're unemployed right now or looking for a better opportunity, there's no better company to go to than Knight Transportation, and that's the fact. If you're a returning subscriber, thanks for coming back. If you're new, you're going to want to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell down at the bottom so you can get notifications for new videos. So, like I said, this is going to be a two-part series, all revolving around Knight Transportation. This video right here, I'm going to go over everything that I went through with the company. In the second video, I'm going to go over what you need to do to prepare for school, what you expect when you arrive to school, and how the testing process goes. Okay? So let's get into it. I was working security for 3 years, man. Getting tired of it. It paid all right, you know. I was making $15.50 an hour, and I was working for the Department of Defense. So the money was okay, but you know, with 3 kids, I want more. I want more out of life. I didn't want to go back to fighting fires again. And hey, my dad had been a trucker for years. I figured, why not? A buddy of mine came to me and told me that Knight Transportation was hiring. I became excited when I found out that Knight was going to pay me $460 a week to learn. I was stoked, man. So I threw myself into it. Now, I started looking at other companies just to see if this was the best option for me. You know, I had seen Knight out on the street before, out on the freeway, but I wasn't, you know, very familiar with the company or, you know, what they pulled or anything like that. So I took a look at CRST. I took a look at Swift. I took a look at Wilson Trucking. And I took a look at, there's one other company I'm missing. And I almost went with Wilson Trucking at first. It's in Montana. They also pay you for school. And I thought, hey man, that seems like a good idea, you know? But, you know, the pay was a little bit less, actually a lot less than Knight. So I decided not to go with Wilson Trucking. Also, I'd have to be away from family. I'd have to go all the way to Montana. So, and be gone for a year over the road. And I just wasn't that interested in doing that. I was getting desperate, and I was ready, you know, to go ahead and just do that. So I went ahead and I looked at Swift, and I almost went with Swift. I remember I spoke with the recruiter. Her name was Megan, and I was all set to start. Yeah, they didn't pay for you know, for my training, but I was going to give it a shot because I had not been able to get in contact at first with anyone from Knight. Turned out I filled out the application. What's the word? I didn't fill out the application process. I didn't go through it properly. I didn't go through the process properly. Is what the deal was. So I went back to the, you know, to the Knight website, and finally I filled everything incorrectly. And I got in contact with my recruiter, WYSMIERSKI. She was awesome. She was really, really nice. And as a matter of fact, she was my buddy's recruiter. I had tried to get in contact with her. She wasn't answering. And I'm one of those people that's like, I need to have this now. Like, I need to get something now. I want to get the hell out of this job I'm working and get on to bigger and better things. Like, I want this fast. I want this now. Long story short, I found her on Instagram. Emily, if you're watching this, hilarious, right? Anyway, I found her on Instagram. I messaged her, and I was already geared to go to Swift within a week. Now everybody knows Knight and Swift, are partner companies, so why don't they pay for training too? Anyway, Emily held true to her word. She got me set up within a week. All I had to do was make sure, that I went and got my permit on my own and my DOT physical on my own. So that's what I did. I immediately had started studying the pre-trip. Okay, so guys, there's 3 phases. There's the pre-trip test, the skills test, and then finally driving. So when the state examiners come and evaluate you, they evaluate you on those 3 things: your pre-trip, your skills, and driving behind the wheel. My advice to you is start studying on that pre-trip now. Get all those parts down, your 3 L's, lanes, lights, and leaks, and go from there. Know that truck in and out. Know how to do that brake test. Know the difference between the tandem and the torque. Okay, all that good stuff. So back to Emily. She got me all set up. From that Monday to the next Monday, I was geared to get up and go. I got my email on Saturday, the Saturday before school was to start. School wasn't starting on Monday because it was Labor Day, so it was going to start on Tuesday. So there it was. I went and I took my test on Friday, 1 week and like 3 days before I left. I went to the DMV in Gardena, here in Los Angeles, and I took my exam. After studying for a couple of days the CDL handbook, I was like, you know what, I think I'm ready. So then they tested me on the written test, well, actually computerized test. They test you on 4 areas, which is the general knowledge, air brakes, combination vehicle, and I forget exactly what the last part is. I just forget. Anyway, I did well. I got, first I did the practice tests online. I just looked up CDL practice tests, DMV, and they came up and I took the practice tests, did a good job. Finally went and took the, actual written or / computerized test at the DMV. I passed and I was excited. I was like, all right, cool, man. Here we go, right? I went to G Medical for the medical portion of the process, and they basically just examined my eyes, my heart rate, took my blood pressure, just the simple regular things you do at a checkup. Asked me a few questions. I paid the $50. I was done. They handed me my paperwork. I took it to the DMV. I was able to take my test. Now, I strongly advise you against G Medical. The doctor there was very unprofessional. She forgot to fill out my one section on the abdominal check. And when I called them, they actually told me to fill it in myself and then hand it back. I strongly advise against G Medical. Do not go to them. I believe they were in Hawthorne or something like that. I can't remember right now. Anyway, that was the first step, was I went to go get my medical check done. If you go with Swift, they do this for you, the medical and taking you for your written test to get your permit. But I strongly advise you go ahead and just do it on your own. You're going to be fine. You get more than enough chances to pass that test. I failed one section once on the air brakes. Put my thumbprint in there. Bam, I was able to take it again. I ended up acing it. So that was cool. Anyway, got my medical done, did my permit. I let Emily WYSMIERSKI know, hey, I'm good to go. By that Saturday, 2 days before I left, she sent me all the information I needed. I put a $500 down payment for the school on my credit card. Simple, man. Simple. So I went ahead, did my down payment, and I was ready for school. I packed up all my stuff and I was ready to go. I left on Monday, checked into the hotel, Comfort Inn in Phoenix, Arizona. Wow, man, nice hotel. I had a great room. The service was great. No complaints as far as the hotel at all. Emily did a good job at making sure I was all set up and good to go. So then begins 3 weeks of school. I woke up on Tuesday. School starts at 6 a.m., so I woke up at 4:45, plenty of time for me to wake up and get going. I took my own car, which they reimbursed me for gas. Thank you very much, Knight. And rode my car to school. The yard was pretty big. There were, Knight trucks everywhere. Red, gray. I think I saw a couple of blue ones, mostly red though. And this green here indicates the port division, which is what I'll be driving. So, moving on, first day of school, I met Brian, and on the first day, I met Brian, and I met John. Really friendly dudes, great teachers. Thank you guys so much for all your instruction and hard work with us. You guys did an outstanding job. John, Marty, Brian, Joe, Michelle, Daniel, freaking awesome guy, man. Trent, all you guys played such a huge role in advancing my life into the next chapter. Thank you so much. Great teachers. Behind the wheel, I was mostly with Daniel and Trent. Awesome job. Anyway, first day of school was when I met Brian, and he took us through the first 2 days, basically, what to expect from the school. Made sure that we were all already studying, our pre-trip, made sure we had that going and getting that locked into our minds. The first 2 days, basically just orientation. So on day 2, they actually took us to the corporate headquarters, and wow, I gotta say, that day was unlike any other day at work. You talk about an introduction, like they had it all laid out. They made sure that we knew that they were going to take care of us no matter what. That family comes first. Family and safety come first with Knight Transportation. You don't have to worry about, am I going to be able to get home to my family? You're going to be able to get home to your family. Depending on what you choose, whether it's dry, reefer, or port. I chose port because I'll have more time with my family. I'll get to be home every weekend. So anyway, school. First 2 days at orientation, and then actually going to the site where we met, the people who pay us, the people we go to for any, everyone in human resources. We met our recruiters, all that good stuff. I mean, it was an awesome day. I never had to wonder, am I going to get paid? Do they remember that, I'm on child support? And they handle things. I just let them know, hey, I need to make sure that my child support is going to go through. I need to make sure that I'm going to get paid this week. No, man, it was covered. I had nothing to worry about. So, fantastic. By Thursday, we were driving. As soon as we stepped out onto that pad, we coupled and uncoupled. Basically, that means we uncoupled. So you drop the landing gear, you pull the release arm on the fifth wheel, which unlocks the locking jaws and sets the kingpin free. You disconnect your air lines and your electric line, then you hop up in there and you pull away from the trailer. You uncouple and then coupled. This is the first thing we did, man. It was really cool, and Brian walked us through that. So we all got to uncouple and then couple back up, and that was fun, man. So that was our first day. Our first day, actually, that was our third day. First day in a truck. So then on Friday, we actually went out driving. And man, what an experience being in a truck. I mean, you're sitting way up there. You got this big 53, I almost said inch, 53-foot trailer behind you, and you just feel kind of intimidated at first. I mean, you're driving this big trailer. Wow, dude. But I was stoked. You know, I was hooked. I was in. And by this time, I had already had my pre-trip down. So I wasn't worried about that. I was just worried about focusing on my driving. So that's why I'm going to stress to you the importance of nailing that pre-trip before you even get to the school. Just know it, man. Just know it. If you happen to see a truck, just look at it, observe it. Watch the videos that Joe has. Just hit night transportation, pre-trip, automatic, and watch that video over and over and over. And watch the parts and air brake test as well, because that goes more in depth and actually shows you all the parts and components that you're learning about. So watch that. Have that mastered before you get to school so that you can just worry about your skills. Which brings me into week 2. We got Saturday and Sunday off, so we took that time to go back to the yard. We woke up like 7 a.m., 8 a.m. Some people woke up at 6, whatever. Got down to the yard and went through our pre-trip. Pre-trip, air brake test, all that good stuff. As long as you don't drive it around, you're good. So you got the weekend to just study. So by week 2, there we were. We were doing our skills. Straightforward. So they set up the cones, right? And you start at the back. You go straight forward through the cones. You come straight back and you honk. Once or twice, whatever, as long as the examiner will hear you. Then you pull all the way forward. Now these cones that are here that you just drove through, another set of cones on this side, one line to make 2 lanes. That's where you come in and do your offset. So when you pull all the way forward, you're going to end up offsetting and backing into the other spot. Then you honk when you're done, you pull back, you go around and set up for your parallel. Straight forward, straight back, offset, and parallel. So we started practicing those are the skills. We started practicing our skills. Don't get discouraged. Pay attention to the trailer. Focus on nothing else except safety and that trailer. And everything else is going to fall into place. Listen to your instructors. They know what they're doing. Follow their hand movements. Don't try to do your own program. Stick to what they're trying to teach you. And I remember it was a little confusing at first because on the pad, there's 2 areas. They were doing the state testing here, and the class before us, they were practicing here. We were over here, and they wanted to change the testing over to this pad. So the instructors did a really great job at mapping out what points on the pad to look at for reference to execute the skills effectively, accurately every single time. Daniel stayed with me after class. I asked him if I could stay, and they were still trying to, map everything out. So he said, yeah, sure, man. You can stay after. So I stayed after. Dude, I nailed my skills. I was so happy. I was no longer worried. Don't overthink. If you guys don't get if you don't get it right away, let it marinate overnight, and in the morning or sometime during the next day, it's just going to click and you're just going to get it. Do not overthink. If you overthink, that is that's what's going to be your downfall. Overthinking. Don't do it. We all did it. Guess what? We all passed Every single one of us from this class passed, all 12 of us. And the way it works, once you get to school, guys, go to the front of the class. Your stuff is going to be right there, your folders, everything that you need. Don't lose that folder. Week number 3, the moment of truth. By the time test day came around, I was scheduled for Thursday at 6 a.m. I got there. Terry was my state examiner. There's Terry, Bob, who looks like Santa Claus, and Neil. And I can't remember if there's one more or not. Anyway, those are the only 3 I really remember. And Terry was my examiner. I'm telling you guys, if you have your skills down and you have your pre-trip down, the rest of your test is going to go a hell of a lot easier. They want to know that you give a rat's ass about what you're doing. If you don't have that pre-trip down and those skills, and you're not at least driving safely on that road test and you take chances, you're gonna fail, okay? As long as you got your pre-trip down and your skills and you don't do anything that's gonna get you brought back to the yard early from that road test, then you're gonna be fine and you're going to pass, okay? No worries, man. Good karma, goose frappa. So I hope that this video was informative. That was my experience. Week 1, week 2, week 3. You're gonna get a full, I wanna say 2 weeks and a couple days to even work on your skills, okay? So once you have it, don't go back and obsess about things, and going through your head is one thing. Looking at the truck is a completely different thing. Once you got your pre-trip down, that truck is going to become your cheat sheet, essentially. Anyway, guys, I hope you liked this video. Check out part 2. I'm gonna throw out everything that you need to know beforehand going into this, okay? So stay tuned for part 2, RPA and survival. Talk to you guys later.